Hello and welcome. I'm your host today, Kim Galloway, and you have found your way to the truth behind a money making summit. The good, the bad, and the don't do it that way. So, this is being recorded live here in March of 2026. I have just wrapped up my fifth large scale summit that not only added a ton of subscribers to my list, it also made me money. Now, the final numbers for this last summit that just wrapped up last week, actually, it just wrapped up on Monday of this week, are not in yet. So we will be going only kind of sort of over those numbers, but we will be looking at numbers from past summits that I have had. Now, settle in. We've got 3 hours together. And if you're watching this on the course version, don't worry, it's all been edited and broken into baby bird bites that are highly consumable. But that being said, if you're coming to us live, this is going to be a big training, quick, fast, and in a hurry. I have so much to cover. We are going to be going through this quickly. So this is your last opportunity to grab your water, grab your notes, and we are definitely going to be diving in. So here's what we're going to cover today. The goals of your summit. Big hint, I'm actually going to tell you what they're going to be because all summits have the same 4 goals. How to get to those goals, how to work backwards towards it, and then the 3 phases of the summit and what to do and what not to do and what not to screw up, or I've seen it be screwed up as we go along. So these 3 phases are before the summit, the event itself, and then the live after bit, so the replay bit, plus the post summit launch. So we are going to dive in. We are going to move relatively quickly because I am pulling back the curtain on my last 5 profitable money making summits that also massively grew my list. And I have 4 little kids that are on their own this morning. So the door is locked. Yes, the door is locked. And we'll be pausing for a couple of minutes about every hour so I can go check on them. You can refill your water, do a run pee. So the first thing that I want to tell you this is a ton of information that I'm going to dump in on you. So be sure that you are ready to be taking notes. The first thing that I want to tell you is that anytime you are planning an event like this, a big launch, a big summit, a big whatever, the very first mindset piece that you need to do, if this is the only thing that you do, is decide that you're going to do it twice. Decide that you're going to do it twice because no matter what trainings you do, how ready you think you are, once you're in the thick of things, you'll discover all the places that you didn't understand the training or that the training missed. And so if you go into holding a summit knowing that you're going to do it 2 times, one to learn it, and then the second one to make sure you're checking all the boxes, it makes it easier on you. And what that does is that releases a lot of it has to be perfect the first time. Now, I will never, ever, ever say that having a summit is easy. It's a lot of moving pieces, and you have to be on top of something. I will never, ever say that it is quick. There's a lot of moving pieces. It's a big project, and I'm going to say you need to have 4 months to plan and execute. And done right, they're worthwhile. And that's the biggest problem, right? Is that there's the difference between I did it and it was okay, or it was a flop. And I did it and I did it right, and it was a runaway success. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling back the curtain on the last 5 summits that I have done, plus not naming names, but calling out some of the bad practices in the industry and teaching you how to do it the right way. The other thing I'm going to say before we absolutely dive in is that there is more than one way to do a summit. And I'm not talking about all the other ways. I'm talking about the ways that I have done it. And so if you have questions, well, so and so did it this way, or so and so teaches this, I don't know. This is how I do it. This is how I have been super successful. My oldest is 8, and I just heard shrieking. Hopefully, it's good shrieking. So let's look at the 4 goals that you need to have for your summit. And these are the 4 goals that every single summit host should have. Not all summits have these 4 goals, and that's why some of them are flops. Goal number 1, to grow your email list. When you put new subscribers into your email list platform, that gives you new people to market to. And you also need to understand that a fair amount of those people are going to be your people re-engaging. And that is awesome because those are hot, excited people. But the number 1 goal, grow your summit list. The second goal of your summit is to position you as the summit host as the expert. Summits are too much work not to position yourself as the expert. And we're going to talk about what that looks like here in a minute. The goal number 3, and this is where people start to get panicky, is to make money. You are in business to make money. What you do with that money is totally up to you. But your business has bills. You have bills, and it is okay to make money from your summit and from the launch after the summit. And here's the 4th goal. And this is the biggest one where I think that summit hosts fail. Your goal is to create a win, win, win. You as the host need to win. It's your party. It's your neck on the line. It's all your time, money, and effort. It needs to be worth it for you. Your attendees need to have a win, and your speakers need to have a win. All summits have these 4 goals. And what I've noticed is that the summit hosts often miss one of those. And then the summit is frustrating for either the host, the attendees, the speakers, or some combination thereof. So how to get there, how to get to these goals, right? Because this is the second part that we're going to talk about. This is work. Okay, there is no sugarcoating this. This was my 5th summit. I knew eyes wide open how much work I was walking into. And because I have done this over and over and over, I compressed the timeline tight as much as I could. I'm looking at my calendar over here. I didn't even start my call for speakers until late January, and the summit was live the 16th through the 20th of March. So I did not give myself 4 months in the planning phase. I do not recommend that until you are an experienced host, until you have your systems down. And you need to make some investments. There is somebody out there who teaches summits, and I just got an email from this person that talked about what they do themselves versus what they outsource. And the list of what they outsourced was almost everything. That's not me. I do not have a VA budget. I know that I'm going to be putting in the hours myself. So you need to know that having a summit, while you can do it on a budget, is not a shoestring activity, and it's not a time shoestring activity. It's just not. You are going to need to invest in some tech. And we'll tell you what that is when we get into the details. You can do this yourself, you can totally DIY it, or you can hire help. If you are going to DIY it, it's going to be a lot of time. And I'm not saying that to frighten you. I'm sick and tired of people in the expert industry who teach something and say that it's easy or simple or fast when it is not. When it is not. And putting on a summit is one of the most complicated things that I do in my business. But I do it really well, and the juice is worth the squeeze. So if you're going to DIY it, you need to expect the giant time overhead. If you're going to hire tech help with a virtual assistant, you need to expect that you just shifted all the time from you into them. And yes, maybe they can do it faster than you can, but you're going to be paying them hourly. So expect that your monetary budget is going to go up. And somebody always asks me, well, what do I need to expect? And I cannot directly answer that question because I don't know where you're coming at. I don't know where you're coming from to the summit. If it's your first summit, you need to expect that both time and money are going to be bigger because you don't know. It also is going to depend on how large your summit is. The summit that I ran in fall of 2025 was 35 speakers. The summit that I just ran in spring of 2026 was 30 speakers. Obviously, the fall summit was bigger with 35 speakers, and there was an extra element that I added for the sake of my attendees that made things bigger. And then the 2026 summit, while I had removed basically 5 speakers from my lineup, it was because it was an all new summit, I didn't have any assets. I had templates that weren't as clean. It was a massive time overhead. And I'm going to estimate that as an experienced host running my 5th summit and DIYing it all, and I knew exactly what I was doing, right? I wasn't figuring anything out as I was going along. I'm still going to estimate that we're looking between 60 and 75 hours. And that is once all the speakers were identified and in. The recruitment of the speakers was probably an additional 10 to 15 hours. Don't panic because it's not like you're sitting down and you're going to work that hard. Like you're not smashing it all into a week, right? It is definitely a big project. Now, if you are going to hire a tech or a virtual assistant, I want you to write this down. Do not abdicate your vision and your goals to their tech expertise. You just tell them where to click and how to set it up. The vision for your event needs to be your vision. What is the experience you are creating for the attendees? And who do you want to bring in? So now we're going to dig in a little bit into these 4 goals for the summit. Number 1 is list growth. And there's a difference between what do you want for list growth and is it possible? So you can say, I want to add 2,000 people to my list. And that's a great goal. In some areas, that's going to be easy. And in some areas, that could be a stretch. It depends on your industry, but mostly it depends on your experts. The people who will be speaking on your summit, and I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. We're going to talk about this later today. They have to promote, full stop. There are definitely teachers out there who say, oh, the name recognition, and then they don't have to promote or they don't have to promote as much. No, no. But here's the thing. You have a speaker who's going to send out 2 solo emails, and we're going to talk about this later, so don't panic. What and how they're going to say. And you know their list size because you should be asking it. To get to this list growth goal, there's what you want and what's possible. Figure that your speaker, if they send those 2 solo emails, the max you can get is 1% of their entire list. So when you're back figuring, if you have a bunch of speakers that have 2,000 and 3,000 person lists, and let's say you have 10 speakers, so I can do the math, that's 20,000 potential opt-ins. 1% of that is nowhere near 2,000. It's not. So that means that your goal of getting 2,000 opt-ins to your summit either needs to be done another way or it needs to be adjusted. The bottom line is your goal is to build your list. How much? Sometimes that's a little bit of a moving target. And the answer is it has to be worth it to you. How do you control that? Speakers with bigger lists. We're going to talk about more about that. Goal number 2, expert status. You want to increase your expert status. How can you align with the topic of your summit? We're going to talk about summit topics, okay? Don't panic. I have run the Brew Your Book Summit 4 times. As a book coach, and that's what I positioned myself in my marketing and all my branding, that was understandably a bigger, more aligned summit than the one that I just did, which was how to sell. So you're saying, well, Kim, why did you make a shift? Because I wanted to make a shift, because I'm looking to not just be a book coach, but to bring in my beast mode marketing brain, which is why I ran a slight shift on this summit. And it's why I talk about marketing more and more overtly now. And it's why I'm doing this course. It's not like I woke up one day and decided I had the knowledge to do this. I've cultivated it over years. I simply never shared it. So, of course, with my expert status and how it's aligning with the topic, one was a better alignment than the other. It doesn't mean that the How to Sell Summit wasn't worth it. It was. Where you have to be careful is if I'm a book coach and it's nonfiction books and building your business, and now I'm talking about how to sell and marketing, that is not a 180. I didn't do this. Okay. But it's a good 90 degrees. Okay. Books, selling, it's a good 90 degrees. And I expected the results to be smaller, and they were. They were also way bigger than I had prayed. So, yeah. Your third goal is making money. Duh, the summit upgrade, selling the recordings. I think, and I said duh, and I'm sorry if you've never thought about that as a summit host, but I think that's the one that everybody sees. And what about the post-summit launch? And that's the one where people think that they see, but after the launch, after the summit, they're so exhausted that they usually don't do it. And then the third way to make money, and this is the other thing that people forget, is the long-term sales that you just got from these people that are now on your list that you get to nurture, that you get to talk to, and that you get to sell to for the next months or years. Now, if you're going to have a summit and you want to make money off of this, before you decide that you need to have a summit, you need to make sure that you have in all the mechanisms to sell to your people. And I'm not going deep down this rabbit hole, but I'm telling you that if you don't already have your shopping cart in place, if you don't already have your email system in place, then this will be interesting information for you, and you are not ready. Because I'm sick and tired of people selling the sizzle to people who don't have a frying pan. So if you don't already have the ability to make sales online, write your notes and you're going to come back to this when you do. And then the fourth goal is, oh my gosh, I see the people stuff this in all the time, is the win-win-win. And I'm going to talk about this win-win-win a lot. You, the attendees, and the speakers. Summits pretty much always are the win for the host because you're the one building the list. It's not always a win for the attendees. And that one always surprises me because the summit host never actually thinks about that attendee's experience. But it also needs to be a win for the speaker. They are donating their time to you to do this presentation or do this interview, and they are gifting you access to their list. You need to honor that. And so this win-win-win, if they've given you all this, what they want back in return isn't expert status, it's to build their own list. And that means that as part of your summit, your speakers must be able to promote a gift, an opt-in, to build their own list. And then you have to have good speakers for your attendees. And I don't mean don't give new people a shot. And I don't mean that they have to be an eloquent speaker, but they need to be aligned with the summit vision. Don't just backfill with just anybody that you can find. And we're going to talk about this more because the How to Sell Summit, I did some really interesting and exciting backfilling that worked. It was a stressful time though. As a host, to make this a win for these other two sets of people, you have to make it easy to participate and you have to have good communication and solid tech. And it wasn't solid on the How to Sell Summit. It also wasn't my fault. Okay, so this is like the pre-stuff that I felt like I had to cover. Like I felt like I didn't have a choice but to make sure we're all on the same page.